I had flown the Pilatus Porter, brown smoke from the ground up to 20,000 feet. So as soon as we took off, we were IFR, and of course the topography was so irregular, you had to be sure that your flight level was at least as high as the mountains. As a matter of fact, through no skill on my own part, I'm here today, and there's one story that I always think of when someone talks about the Smoky season. I had flown the Pilatus Porter, that turboprop aircraft, STOL aircraft, short field takeoff and landing in Vietnam from 65 to 69, prior to getting hurt. I was in the hospital in 70. Came back to Laos, and I was flying the turbo porter, the Pilatus Porter there in Laos, out of Vientiane, Laos. We would go for a week at a time, what we called upcountry, near the Chinese border, near the Burmese border, and operate for the company case officers up there, assisting them in supplying and resupplying their troops, the local Hmong that they had trained. Well, in any case, one day in the Smoky season, I think it would, not exactly sure which month it was, I had some airdrops. My mission was to take off, fly to a location where these troops were isolated on a knoll where they had their emplacement, and go ahead and drop rice, drop weapons, drop ammunition, drop water, drop plasma. In any case, loaded the whole airplane up. I had 4 big bundles on that thing. I go crashing down this swampy, mushy, marshy takeoff. Frequently the runways were so short that we actually built mounds on the end of the runways to snap the airplane here. In any case, I knew that as soon as I got up, went into this smoke, and this thick brown smoke. I mean, pieces of charcoal as big as telephone books would be hitting the airplane. I mean, it'd be loud thumps, that much debris was in the air, and just brown thick, like talk about LA haze, nothing like this, worse. In any case, to get to the drop zone, we'd fly with a stopwatch around our neck. And I would set the power on the airplane so that I would make the airplane fly exactly 2 miles a minute. So if I knew that I was going to be going 16 miles due east, as soon as I took off, I hit my stopwatch because I couldn't see a thing. And I'd fly 090 degrees for 8 minutes. Then let's say I knew that I had to turn almost south and go 12 miles to the drop zone. Turn to the south, hit my stopwatch, and fly 6 minutes. I might add that I'm flying at 7,000 feet. I'm flying over what I know to be valleys or pastures, but on each side of me that I can't see, there are mountains sticking up 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 feet higher than I am. So that if I calculate incorrectly in terms of my ground speed or make a mistake, I'll fly right in the side of the hill. In many cases, one day I did that. I flew east, turned south, time ran out. Great job, Jake. Start spiraling down. No one in their right mind would do this. I wasn't in my right mind then. Spiraling down through this thick brown smoke, hoping to break out before I hit the ground. I break out, and I'm expecting to see the DZ because I'm so precise. The drop zone. It's not there. It's not there. I'm twisting around over these ridges and hills and sliding down in valleys, and I just can't place myself. So I say to myself, I've got to go back and start over again. I have to retrace my steps, so to speak, and try to find this drop zone again. My little kicker. I have a little male kicker back there sitting in the back looking out too, and he's ready to push these bundles out when we get over the troop location, the troop emplacement. So I do it reverse. I go back up north for 6 minutes, turn to the left, to the west for 8 minutes, spiral down to find the airport I left, the little airport, the marshy flat field. It's not there. Huh. Now I'm lost. I can't find the DZ, and I can't find where I took off from. I said, there's only one thing I can do to locate myself. I'll start flying due north because the Mekong River, I know, runs east and west about 5, 10, 15 miles north of where I should be. So I say if I turn due north and stay low, I'll fly, and finally I'll come over the river. Once I find the river, I can be able to orient myself and start this whole day over again. So I'm flying north. I'm flying north now. It's brown, thick clouds over me, rocks, ridges, everything underneath me. I'm flying in about a 2,000-foot layer of space, but I can't see the ground. I'm flying, no Mekong River. Boy, I didn't think I was that far south of the Mekong River. And China's on the other side. Not only is China on the other side, the Chinese are building a 4-lane highway right down to the river, right where I am, that has trucks on it with quad 50s. Jim Ackley and we had 2 pilots. Jim Ackley and Clarence Driver were shot down to C-123 like 10 miles from where I am. So we know they have quad 50s on trucks on this highway just the other side of the river. So I definitely don't want to go over the river. I definitely don't want to go over the river. And I'm flying, waiting for the river, waiting for the river. And gosh, if it was 10 miles, it would have taken me 5 minutes. And then, of course, what you're expecting, Jake, maybe you were already over the river when you turn north. Now, you're on your way to Shanghai, right? Holy moly, time to get out of here. So I start this big, hairy turn, hopefully before the whole world starts opening up on me. And just as I started this turn, I saw the Mekong. God knows where I was, because I've been this far south to find it. I say the Mekong. I dive down into the Mekong. The Mekong here has about 100-foot high, like limestone, sandstone, karst cliffs on each side, baked beige, tan, brown color. The water is muddy. The water is brown. So it's brown here. I'm flying over brown water alongside brown rocks with a brown smoke sky. This is terrible visibility, obviously. I'm down in the river. I've got my map out. Clipped on my map is clipped on my trouser leg here. And I said, okay, the river's going straight. My airplane wingspan is 49 feet, the wingspan of this border. I'm down in the rocks to where I have maybe 50 feet on each side before I hit the rocks. I'm down in this thing, flying the river. So you want to keep your eyes on the road, right? In any case, I'm trying to find a movement, a zig or a zag in the river that I can equate to a place I see on the map. So I said, I'm here, whether it's this far east or this far west. My objective is to come upon a unique bend in the river that I'd be able to find here. And I'm flying, and my head's up against the windshield. I can barely see where the brown water hits the brown cliffs, hits the brown sky. Well, as it turns out, the Mekong River had dropped about 3 feet or 6 feet because of the season, and there was a bleached white spot. There was a bleached white line about maybe 3 to 6 feet high over the water. That was all I could see. I was flying. I couldn't see the rocks. I couldn't see the water, though I knew they were there. I was lined up on this white line, and I'm flying, and I'm zigging, and I'm zagging, and I'm zigging, and I'm zagging. And finally I came to a spot where this bleach mark was going straight. I'm looking at my map. The river doesn't go straight this long. It just was going straight. And I'm looking, and I said, the river doesn't go straight. Where can I be? And then I got the worst scare of my life. I realized that somehow my T-shirt had gotten out underneath my short-sleeve flying shirt, and the thin band of my T-shirt was reflecting in the window, and I'd ceased to fly on the bleach mark, and I was flying on my T-shirt reflection, thinking I was looking outside. Pulled straight up, ahead at full power, dropped half flaps, and spiraled out of there, because God knows where I was. Transferred to my T-shirt from that bleach mark. You can see how it can happen.
Yeah. How many hours did you log with the 9 years that you were there with Air America planes?
Very close to 8,000, I would say. Less than 1,000 hours a year because I was a chief pilot, a supervisory pilot. Most of the pilots did, in fact, fly 1,000 hours a year.